I've always been fascinated by the stars. Growing up in a small, quiet town far from the polluted skies of the city, I spent countless nights watching them. There was something comforting about the vastness of the universe, the twinkling lights of distant suns that seemed so far removed from the troubles of our world. I found solace in that distance, until I learned that the stars aren't just distant observers. Sometimes, they're watching. And sometimes, they're hungry. It began with a letter, an old-fashioned envelope with no return address. The paper was brittle, yellowed with age, and inside was a single sheet with a strange, cryptic message. "Do you hear the hum in the stars?" I would have dismissed it as some kind of prank, except for the fact that the very night I received it, I began to hear it. At first, I thought it was just tinnitus, a faint ringing in my ears that would come and go, something easily ignored. But the more I listened, the more distinct the sound became. It wasn't a ringing. It was a low, constant hum, like the deep resonance of something enormous vibrating just beyond the edge of perception. That night, I couldn't sleep. The hum filled the air, though no one else seemed to notice it. It was subtle, but persistent, like the universe itself was singing some ancient, incomprehensible song. I lay in bed, staring out the window at the night sky, feeling strangely drawn to it. And that's when I saw it. A star, or something that looked like a star, flickered unnaturally in the sky. It was bright, impossibly so, and it pulsed in time with the hum. My heart raced as I sat up, mesmerized by the light. It wasn't like any star I had ever seen before. There was something wrong about it, something that made my skin crawl. I couldn't tear my eyes away. Then, in the silence of the night, the star blinked out. Gone. Just like that. As if it had never been there. I didn't tell anyone about it. I mean, what was there to say? That I had heard a strange hum and seen a star vanish. People would have thought I'd lost it. But it didn't stop there. Every night after that, the hum grew louder. And every night, I'd find myself staring out the window, searching for the star that wasn't a star. It returned, after a week of silence, only this time it was closer. I could feel it, like a pressure in my chest, a tugging sensation deep in my mind. The hum became a vibration in the air, a low, rhythmic pulse that seemed to come from every direction at once. I stood by the window, hands pressed against the glass, transfixed by the pulsating light. It didn't flicker this time, it throbbed, like a heartbeat. That was when the dreams began. I'd close my eyes, only to be plunged into visions of vast, cyclopean structures, not of this earth. Black monoliths reaching into the sky, their surfaces rippling like water, stretching across an endless, starless void. In these dreams, I was small, insignificant, standing at the edge of an abyss so deep it swallowed light itself. And always, from somewhere in that unimaginable darkness, I could feel something watching me. Not just watching, waiting. I would wake in a cold sweat, the hum still echoing in my ears, louder now, almost like a voice. It was speaking to me, though I couldn't understand the words. But I knew what they meant, the thing behind the star was coming closer. I began to research ancient texts, old myths about the stars and the gods who lived among them. What I found only deepened my dread. There were whispers of beings older than the universe, entities so vast and incomprehensible that their presence alone could drive men mad. The ancients spoke of the Nameless Star, a celestial body that appeared only when the stars themselves aligned. It was a harbinger, a beacon for something beyond space and time. I started to see signs everywhere. People in town began acting strangely, their faces pale, their eyes distant, as if they too were hearing the hum. But when I asked them, they denied it, brushing off my questions with uncomfortable laughter. It was clear, though, they felt it. The entire town had begun to change. At night, I would hear footsteps outside my door, low whispers in the dark, like a gathering of people speaking in hushed tones, though no one was ever there when I looked. The star was growing. I could see it with my naked eye now, larger than any star in the sky. It pulsed with a sickly green light, casting eerie shadows through my window, illuminating the streets with a glow that seemed to sap the life from everything it touched. My dreams had become darker, more vivid. I was no longer standing at the edge of the abyss. I was falling into it, my body pulled by some unseen force toward the black monoliths, toward the thing that waited at the center of the void. I woke up one night to find that my bedroom window had shattered. The cold wind howled through the broken glass, but there was no sign of what had caused it. As I stood there, staring out at the night sky, the star, my star, flashed brightly, and the hum intensified. That's when I saw them. Figures, barely visible against the trees, standing in the dark, their faces hidden beneath hoods. They were watching me, unmoving, their heads tilted upward toward the sky, where the nameless star pulsed in rhythm with the hum. I backed away from the window, my heart hammering in my chest. The figures didn't move. They just stood there, silent and still. I knew, in that moment, that whatever was out there, whatever the star was bringing, it was almost here. The next day, the sky was wrong. The sun was dim, as though the light was being drained from the world. People walked the streets in a daze, their faces gaunt, their movements sluggish. No one spoke, not even a whisper. The hum had become unbearable, a constant vibration that seemed to shake the very air, though no one acknowledged it. That night, the nameless star was directly overhead, and the dreams returned with a vengeance. In my final vision, I stood before the monoliths, their surfaces undulating like living flesh. And there, in the center of the abyss, I saw it, the Watcher. It was neither god nor beast, but something in between. Its form was amorphous, shifting, too large to fully comprehend, its eyes, if they were eyes, burning with an ancient hunger. It was awake now. I jolted upright, gasping for air, the hum now a deafening roar. The figures outside were gone, but I knew they would return. I don't know how much longer I have. The star is still there, closer now than ever, its light flickering through my windows, casting long shadows that twist and writhe like they're alive. The hum has become a voice I can finally understand. It says I'm chosen. It says the time is near. And it says I'll soon be joining them, among the stars.